welcome, Josh, to our first one for 2026, and just a few little tidbits of starting a new calendar year and what it might look like for different people, and we got a few little notes to share with people, and we're just chatting off air about New Year's resolutions and what that looks like for different people, and all enthusiastic. How do you approach it?
Yeah, so I don't typically go to the new year, new me. It typically is trying to find what worked really well last year and what I want to keep versus what do I need to stop doing is kind of my framework. So in terms of resolutions, I've actually noticed the years are going much quicker for me.
Getting older, Josh.
Yeah, and I think, I've actually, a bit of research shows that the busier you are, the faster the year goes because you're not putting enough time or intention on measuring things more regularly.
Right.
So I think for me, it's probably slowing down, making sure I'm doing those weekend trips away, those camping adventures to kind of break up the year rather than just...
You don't want to slow down.
Yeah, probably not. Well, I mean, it's the intention.
Yeah, take your whiteboard camping with you.
Yeah, true. Yeah, well, that's the intention, but we'll see how I go. Just try and slow down a little bit, at least. Yeah. What about you? Any New Year's resolutions come to mind?
Just that framework that we've used in business, in the business side of things. So that's you sort of alluded to it then, the stop, start, keep. So I don't go into New Year's resolutions and stuff like that. It's just not my thing. But just a moment of reflection of what you want to stop, start, and keep in your life. I just use that space just to have a bit of a mental break. But my brain stays on, pretty much switched on most of the year. So it's nice just to have a bit of a break. So I like to read and just swim at the beach and stuff like that, and just take the moments when you're there to reflect where life's at and what you'd like to recharge with. And it to me, it's about what fills your cup, what gets you buoyant and happy places. So
good.
It looks differently for all different people. So.
Yeah, you mentioned reading a book. Do you typically find you're doing fiction, non-fiction, combination?
Well, it's a combination. So I have escapism. There's a couple of authors I bolted on with me. So that's my escapism, like Clive Cussler and those sort of guys. They're just totally fancy. Then I always find my wife Jenny always laughs because I have a business book in the kit bag, which I find relaxing in a sort of reverse way. And then I was only chatting on the weekend, and I thought, I really need to bring in another. We just finished reading Jacinda Ardern's book, and I found both Jenny and I found it fascinating, and thought I probably need to read another biography. I think it could sit somewhere in the middle, a bit relaxing, but a bit informative how people do life. So
do you find studying someone else's life can often save you a bit of time as well? Because you kind of learn from their mistakes or things they're doing well?
My needs are probably a little bit different to saving time. Mine's more about just, how do they approach life and what some of their sort of approaches or philosophies of who they are and how they got through different times and stuff like that. So, and in Jacinda's case, it was just about leadership and what it looks like for her in different aspects. So just something you take away, little tidbits about. It's a good idea. So.
Yeah, and you got a couple of adult children now. Any books that you'd be recommending them they read if you had to give them a list of one or two books?
That's a good question. And for all his sort of forthrightness, Scott Pape's still quite a clear communicator in that space. So I think he provides some good solid frameworks if people want to read stuff in that space. And leadership, which is sort of my passion, and all of our kids are involved with not necessarily being a boss, but being a leader, which is being a group of people influencing people. Patrick Lencioni is a favourite of mine, and he's got a new matrix or new fable, because he writes in fables rather than fact and fiction, like storytelling, and he's got a new approach in that. What's it called now? 6 genius types or something like that. And so Jack, who's a teacher, but the same, he's been goes through it with his school, so it's probably someone I'm sort of been promoting to the other kids as well. So
Good recommendations.
yeah, what about you? What are you reading?
Well, what I'm reading at the moment, they're all financial planning related books. They're probably ones that people wouldn't be that interested in reading. If I was to recommend some books on how to get started, most people probably would have heard Atomic Habits by James Clear.
Oh, yeah.
Is a good one. So he talks about how little decisions make really big impacts over time, whether those are positive or negatively. So just focusing on those little things. Probably Carol Dweck, her book called Mindset. So it talks about a fixed mindset versus a growth mindset. So a classic example would be, I'm this way because that's how my parents made me, or that's how I grew up, versus I can be whatever I want to be, provided I put the effort in. And brains are neuroplasticity, I suppose, your ability to grow up and adapt.
Yeah.
They're two really good books. I think, starting with those would be good ones.
Recommendations? I'll put them on my list as well.
Yeah. And I mean, we could talk a little bit about how New Year's, most people try and make a change.
It's as we sort of said, it's a time of reflection, catching up, and you're chatting to family and friends over that break, and you sort of got a natural pause in most people's lives. So.
Or in a renewed sense of purpose. Sometimes people go, look, from 1 January, I'm going to the gym 3 days a week. And I suppose I'm more of a fan of people doing those consistent things over time rather than the major upheavals. So the example I have is if you're at the top of a mountain and you want to get to the bottom of it, you don't just go 100 miles an hour straight to the bottom. You go a bit slower and you duck and weave and you adjust along the way to get the result. And I think coming up with New Year's resolutions can be the same thing if you're trying to be a happier person or a healthier person, or you're trying to get your wealth under control. It's those little adjustments over time are more important than just going in one direction consistently or as fast as you can.
So let's use a couple of parallel examples. So gyms, people's health is always sort of a popular item, as well as their finances. So let's take go to the gym and you want to save a deposit for something. How would you approach those two scenarios?
Well, this is where it's very different from how I would do it, maybe how I'd tell other people to do it, but just showing up to the gym to create that habit. And that's something that James Clear talks about. It's literally day one is just drive, park in the car park, and then leave.
Oh, really?
The next day it's going to the car park, then going to the front door, and then leaving.
Oh, right.
And just getting the habit of, I'm the kind of person who shows up to the gym every day.
Yeah.
And you build that identity up, and then you're the kind of person who shows up and does 5 minutes every day.
Yeah.
And eventually it just becomes so habitual that you do that. So same way that people go, would you like to smoke? And they say, no, not right now, versus I'm actually not a smoker. You build that identity, which then forces different habits. So that's probably what I'd be doing. Really slow but deliberate steps that are really easy.
So changing, I suppose, your routines, I suppose, or your habits, as you say. So
could be $5 a week. Doesn't sound like much to save, but just I'm the kind of person who saves consistently.
Yeah, that's a couple of things in my head. So for me, gym, it could involve, if we use a gym analogy, like a accountability partner, whether it's your life partner or a mate or PT or something like that. So to me, that's an extra extension in my head that for myself, I'm pretty self-motivated, but having a PT is the only way I'll go to the gym, to be honest. Whereas Jenny, my wife, she'll pretty much self-motivated, take herself off there and stuff like that. So it's understanding who you are, what you need. Whereas to me, I need that appointment, just the way my brain works. There's that, and then you look at it is a conundrum in it, like you say, or where you can save, I don't know, save one coffee a week, say, as a goal, and that's going to save you X. But the mountain seems so big for some people of saving, tens of thousands of dollars for a deposit for a home. It's like, how do I climb that mountain? It's just too big. I'd rather, just go and drop my coffee for the day or whatever. So it's a real challenge in that space. So.
Yeah, and look, we've talked previously around people overestimate what they can do in a year and underestimate what they can do in 10 years.
Yeah.
So $100 a week doesn't sound like much. It's still only $5,200 at the end of the year. But you compound that and do that for 10 years. If you're someone who's 50, had your 40-year-old self done just that $100 a week, you'd be sitting on over $55,000 with compounding.
Yeah.
And that's actually quite significant. It starts to become quite useful.
And I think for me that the next extension is some tangible items. So, we use the save money on coffee or some other luxury item, discretionary spend. Let's put it that way. And so for me, it's almost like you'd have to then take the next step to transfer those funds into a sort of savings account. So it's away from your visibility, so that you sort of got that compounding effect, but you haven't really missed it as such. And another real practical sort of tip for me is well, not for me personally, but I think it works, is have it through a different bank or a different internet banking, so that it's not visibly in your face.
Increase the friction a little bit.
Yeah, so there's a bit like a double conscious, rather than saying, I'll just transfer $500 because I see often, and probably my lens is more of a business example of this, is that the old drawing money out of your business account. I don't do it much. The comments from some clients, but you sort of go for pages of small transactions where they just use it like an ATM without too much thought. So the same thing if you're building for some goal that seems too lofty, it's just little and often, but with that you say some friction or some deliberation about poking that aside for the savings plan.
There's a couple of ways you could probably enforce that yourself without making a recommendation, like just talking out loud to, maybe your salary goes straight into your mortgage and you have to manually redraw a certain amount if you're off your expenses. Or there's some companies out there, and for most people they'd be familiar, when you go to the checkout it'll say, would you like to round up for whoever it is, but maybe you implement that for yourself as well, where you say whatever expense it is, the difference between that and the nearest $5, I transfer into savings straight away. So there's all those little behavioural things you could also attempt.
So I suppose the messaging is incremental, the compounding effect. It's a bit of a challenge, I suppose, the world messaging about instant sort of gratification. But I think it was kind of, we spoke about last time, just that the rebirth of lay-by, which fascinates me, which is interesting, that people waking up sort of, I think it's behind the scenes. There's a few things about the afterpay sits on your credit rating, so the reason for all that. But I suppose if you were to say take a 3-year window for a savings plan, that's a different scenario than a 3-month window. And so that's the encouragement for people, is to say, I could do this. It's a bit of discipline, but I'm going to have, a target in mind. For 3 years' time, I should reach that target. It's a deposit for a house or whatever your savings for.
Yeah, so maybe there needs to be more of a focus on the duration rather than the initial. So an example that comes to my mind is, you could go 100% at work for 3 days. 100 times 3 is 300%, or you could go at 80% but do it for 4 days. Well, actually, your overall output is higher, even though you've only gone at 80%. So sometimes just focusing on or extending your goal out to 2 or 3 years and doing smaller chunks, but for more time, it felt easier, and yet your accomplishment was actually quite larger as well. The same way that 10 push-ups a day doesn't seem like a lot. You're like, I'm not going to get fit off 10 push-ups. My body won't change day to day. But if you were talking to someone who's done that for the last 20 years versus someone who hasn't, I think you would see the difference between those people.
Any other concluding thoughts?
I do want to talk quickly about money mindsets, because I think that's important. Something I'm passionate about, not necessarily around New Year specifically, but if I was to hazard a guess, and I'm cheating a little bit here because I know your kids, but I would have said, I assume that they speak with an Australian English accent.
Yes, they do.
And that's probably because you're intending to.
A Queensland accent,
Okay, Queensland.
But,
but had you had a French accent, chances are they would have picked up some of that as well. So it's amazing what you pass through to your kids, even just passively. Part of that is also money mindsets. So my example would be, saying we can't afford that versus we don't see value in spending money on that, to both result in you not buying the thing, but very different mindsets. They also pick up on how you interact with your spouse, whether you're going on date nights regularly. They learn how to be a good partner themselves, how you interact with their siblings. These are all things that get passed down. So I think in terms of how important it is to get, financial planning and accounting advice, it's not just for your benefit, it's for how you then bring that home and affect the whole ecosystem.
No, you're right there. They're little sponges as a kid, as young kids, and then a lot of it is it's just through that observation, effectively, of what you put into practice.
Well, and that's the concept of osmosis as well. They're absorbing you from that environment. So with these New Year's resolutions we're talking about, putting yourself in an environment that reduces the friction between where you are and where you're trying to get to, whether that is financially or your health.
Yeah.
So, surrounding yourself with fit people tends to make you a fit person because you want to fit in. We all want to fit in. You go to the football, you all want the same jersey, so you feel like part of that group. I won't go too much into that because my knowledge on football is very limited, but I'll talk from you.
I guess, quiz later.
Yeah, if you were to sit in a stadium where they're all one side of the fans and you were the one guy amongst that in a different colour, I think you'd probably get targeted.
Yeah.
So it's just setting yourself up for success as well.
Yeah. So how do you, so just having that different mindset, or just being aware that your mindset influences others in your family or your networks?
I think so. Probably a combination of both. So it's just recognising, again, getting that introspection. You go, what are my strengths? How do I double down on those? And what are my weaknesses? How do I build systems and processes that reduce the negative impact of those?
Yep.
And just those little behaviours consistently over time, you'll, again, double down on your strengths 12 months from now and try and reduce that and the weaknesses, or at least the things that send you off the edge that you've got to clean up. So.
All right, hopefully it's been informative and helpful on people's journey. So thanks, Josh.
Very good. And just to remember, so again, a good plan, well executed, much better than a perfect plan you give up on at the end of January. So
good tip of the day, of the year.
Very good. All right, well, that's it from us.
Great. Thanks,
See you
guys.
in the next one.